So thanks for coming back. Welcome to part 2 of the Ultrabook News webcasts. 4 Ultrabooks here today, and we're going to take 2 of them and do a little bit of a comparison. That's the Dell XPS 13 and the Lenovo U300S, but on the side we've got the Samsung Series 5 and the Toshiba Z830, which we've already reviewed and done live sessions on. You can find information on ultrabooknews.com. While you're there, top right of the front page, you'll see our social links. Connect with us on the Facebook, G+, Twitter, and our YouTube channel, and you'll get notifications of things that are happening, not just the posts, but also things that are going on in the background, announcements, questions, and you get a chance to put the questions to us. So let's get straight into it, and we've had a few problems with Ustream this evening, so we're going to try and get right through it as quickly as possible. Here's the Lenovo U300S and the Dell XPS 13. First thing you're going to note is that the XPS 13 looks smaller. It's not because it's further away, it is actually smaller. The Dell XPS has a very thin bezeled screen on it, which not only looks good, but actually saves quite a bit of space. That's the U300S, which is actually already pretty small. If we take it in comparison with the, I'm just going to reach over and get the Z830 here, you'll see how much difference it makes to the depth of the device. And it's not all screen that makes that difference there, because they have a slightly different hinge mechanism that is slightly more compact. But look, there's quite a bit of space saved there. So let's just quickly take you around the Dell XPS 13. Looks really nice. Got a load of media coverage at CES. A lot of people are liking this, and I tend to agree. It's a very beautiful device. When we go around the device, I'll show you the ports, and you'll make up your own mind whether it's got enough ports for you, because in some cases could be an issue. Headset port here, USB 2 and DC in. Nothing across the back. Nice clean lines on the bottom. This is a little, and it's difficult to open it, compartment that contains all the fairly ugly approval stickers, approval notices, serial numbers, and licensing numbers. That just pops back in there, a little bit over the top, but okay, it does make it look kind of nice. This is looks like carbon fiber finish with a rubberized on top. I'm not sure if it's real true carbon fiber. Could be, but it's a nice finish and a nice look. Just flipping over to the other side, then you've got mini display port here, so no VGA, no HDMI, and this is a USB 3 super speed with sleep and charge on it as well. Then here you've got a little button which allows you to see how much is left in the battery. We've got 5 out of 5, or was that 6 out of 6? 5 out of 5 lights lit up there, so it means you can check the battery without having to open it up, switch it on and check the battery usage. Nothing across the front, so that really does look kind of nice and tidy, right? Open it up, and this is where you see it looking, I think, even more attractive. Is this thin bezel here is really I don't know what it is about thin bezels, but it kind of gives you the feeling that that is the screen there, and it's not just a frame with a screen in it. Like if you think back to the netbooks of 2007, the EPC 701 had probably 50% of its area on the cover, let's say the hinge cover, was not screen. This really makes it feel like it's a screen, not a cover. So really nice. 1366 by 768. Yeah, it's not the best in class, and it's a glossy screen, of course, as well. You can see that there, which for indoor use, there's a couple of things to mention there. Indoor use, when you're watching videos, you tend to get a slightly punchier screen, and this is a really nice colourful screen. I don't know whether it's been artificially boosted or whether it's got a truly big gamut, but it does look quite attractive. I suspect it's tuned towards a mainstream user's eyes, so it's probably not a high gamut screen, but anyway, it does look quite nice. Yeah, and the fact that it's glossy is going to put you off. I think I already mentioned that. Right, keyboard down here, and the keyboard area is really nice. There's a rubberized plastic on top. Feels quite nice. When that gets dirty, if you're eating chips, crisps, or whatever it's called in your country, you get grease on it. It takes ages to clean it off. Can get really, really messy, but it does feel nice and look nice when it's clean. Single unit mouse trackpad here with integrated left and right mouse buttons. It feels nice. There's just the perfect balance of click and pressure resistance on there. As for how good it is in use, I'll have to spend some time with it and let you know, but it is multi-touch capable, of course, and there's a couple of variants. Oh no, that's the Lenovo that has a couple of variants. Anyway, I haven't heard of any major problems with the touchpad on this, so hopefully things are looking good. Backlight on the keys there. If I bring that close, you can probably see. There you go, the backlit keys. It's a two-stage backlight. I don't know if it has a timeout feature or whether it's got an ambient light sensor as well. I don't think it has, as it's a two-stage backlight. But that's really nice and very useful. One of those features that once you've used it, you'll want it on every other device afterwards. So it's kind of a little bit of a lock-in feature for Ultrabooks and laptops that use backlight. What have we got here? Caps lock light here. There's no light on the power button because the light is at the front. This light here will pulse when it's in standby, stay on when it's charged, and be off when the device is off, of course. The keyboard itself is actually quite nice. I liked the keyboard when I tested it excuse me, at CES, and I think it's a keyboard that it's one of the better keyboards out there. Of course, we've got the Lenovo U300S sitting behind here, so I'm expecting that to be even slightly better. But even though I do use every day the Toshiba Z830, I think this keyboard on the Dell is much nicer. In fact, out of the four devices here, the Toshiba Z830 is probably the worst of the keyboards. It's not got the feedback that some of the others have. Slightly squashed in terms of vertical space, and on some models, not all of them I've tried, the space bar doesn't register on the right hand side unless you press it really, really hard. It might ease up over time, but I had that problem on this one. Samsung keyboard is also quite good though. Right, that's just a quick overview of the Dell XPS 13. I'm just checking the chat channel to see if there are any questions coming up there. If you've got questions, let me know in the chat channel. I'm trying to monitor that as I go through this. Right, let's get the Lenovo U300S in, and I think this is actually one of the most stylish Ultrabooks out there. It's obviously personal opinion, but the reason I like it is because it's clean, it's symmetrical, it's unfussy, it's slightly minimalistic, and it's stylish in terms of its colours. It's classic in terms of its colours and the materials it uses. It doesn't purport to be anything sporty or show-offy. It's a real boardroom Ultrabook, I think. I actually like the symmetry on the side profile of it as well. So let's go around and have a look at that one. HDMI output on this, so you don't need mini DisplayPort adapters as you would on the XPS 13, but there's no VGA, so you'd have to use an adapter. USB 3 super speed. I'm not sure if that has sleep and charge on it. I believe it does. Headset port, DC in. Flipping it over on the other side, there's a USB 2 port, the fan, possibly input, and Lenovo's One Touch recovery button, which kicks off their backup solution. Why they think that that's a value having a button there, I don't know, but anyway, on the bottom it's also quite clean. Not as extreme as the XPS 13 with that little silver cover to hide these things, but anyway, still nice and clean and tidy, no problems there. Opening it up, and again, really nice, clean, tidy look to the inside of it. Someone's just told me the fan on the side is the output. Thanks for that in the chat room. Glossy screen again, same screen size, same screen resolution, 13.3, 1366 by 768, very standard first gen screen resolution. Keyboard certainly looks great. There's no backlight on it, and there's very, very short travel on it. It's very similar to The Dell might have just a slightly bit more travel, but there's a little bit more resistance, a little bit more give on those keys than there is on the Dell, and way more than there is on the Z830. And just in terms of of just initial feel, I think I could definitely get along with this keyboard as long as all those key presses are going to register when I use them. Trackpad is a single unit again, left and right mouse clicks integrated, and again a nice balance of feedback and resistance and sound on that. It's got a little bit of a bounce feel to it as well, but yeah, that's a preference thing. Let's just quickly put WordPad up here, and this is, I'm just doing it side on, so it's a little bit difficult to do it. Is a test of the Lenovo keyboard. At first use it seems pretty good. It's German keyboard, pretty good. Yeah, I like it, and I like the fact that it's got this extra row of page up, page down, home and end on there. Once you get used to that, it's actually pretty useful. As I mentioned, no keyboard backlight there. In terms of internals, both of these are 128 gig SSD. I don't know the speeds of them yet, but I haven't heard that there's any major issues on the speeds. I know that the Asus devices are leading in terms of SSD speeds. The Toshiba Z830, in theory, at the high end measurements, with large block sizes, it's a pretty poor performer. At the low end, which is what counts, the small 4K block sizes, is actually a very good performer, and I find the SSD surprisingly good. I was pleasantly surprised when I started using it as to how well it performs, and it's Toshiba's mid-range SSD as well. Certainly way better than a hard drive, and you notice that when you start to use video editing programs like I am. That the SSD really helps there. I was video editing on my hard drive based desktop quad core last night, and it was a horrible experience, just waiting for disks to load files in and out, cache, uncache. Really horrible experience. So SSD obviously one to go for if you're really looking for the fastest response. Obviously all Windows 7 devices, 4 gig RAM, so not a lot of difference there. In terms of pricing and availability, the Dell device I think is still actually quite expensive. XPS 13 at Dell.com is I think $1,049. Maybe the chat room will correct me, but it's kind of above what I expect the low end or the entry level Ultrabooks to be, which I'd expect now to be $900 to $950 as the entry level. The U300S is also, it's not coming down in price. It's premium priced. It's also quite difficult to find. It's not widely available like the Samsung devices or the Acer and the Asus devices. Maybe they're thinking of it more of as a B2B product. So it's doing direct sales from the website. Maybe, I don't know, but it's certainly not in a lot of mainstream channels. The Dell actually is only available Dell.com, I think, in the US. Located in Europe, it's available through resellers in Europe, but difficult to find it on Amazon, for example, in the US. So that's then a quick overview of the two devices. Let's just quickly summarize there in terms of size and weight. These three, that's the U300S, the Dell XPS 13 and the Samsung Series 5, are very closely matched in terms of weight, 1.4 to 1.5 kilograms. They all feel pretty much the same. They all feel premium. The Samsung saw it probably slightly less so. It uses some plastics where the other devices are using metal, but the Samsung does have SD card and it has gig Ethernet port as well, so it's a little bit more loaded on ports, and it has a hard drive in here. It's also slightly cheaper as well. It's doing some good pricing on the Samsung. I've seen some great offers on the Samsung and Amazon.com last week, and certainly in Europe it's one of the cheapest Ultrabooks you can get. My wife has been using it for 2 months. She's totally happy with it. We've seen no showstoppers. I asked her what was the big problem, or what would you raise as a big problem for this. The only thing we could really find is that it needs a dongle for the VGA output. The VGA output is built in, but it does need a little adapter port there, and that's the only thing we really found. She obviously hasn't used an SSD based Ultrabook, so she can't really compare the speed, but certainly startup times is something she's really impressed with on this one. Open it up and it's less than a second behind any of the other devices. I'm not sure if it's going to come out of standby there, but yes it is, and that's pretty much as quick as the others, and this is a hard-based device. Samsung have done a great job with Express Cache and the 16 gig, I think it is, SSD built in there. It works well. Slightly different way of doing it to, for example, the Acer S3, which just uses it as a hibernation file storage base. It's different. And then the Toshiba Z830, obviously the thinnest and lightest of them all. It is very impressive, but you have the slightly flimsy screen, it wobbles about a bit. You have the keyboard that's not quite as good as I think the other three devices, but still usable. I'm having no major issues with it in my daily use, but you got all those wonderful ports on the back: full-size VGA, DC in, full-size HDMI, two USB 2s, sleep and charge on one, gigabit Ethernet. There's a USB 3 on the side there, and you've got full SD card slot and separate headphone and microphone input. So this is the flexible connectivity one. This is it's for me the most important thing, to have that connectivity, especially as someone that's doing a lot of creating of videos and photos. The SD card is critical. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to stop this recording for YouTube, and we'll go into part 3 and do a little bit more maybe testing, and I'm going to ask some of the people in the chat room to guide me on part 3, see what they want to see, and we'll have a little bit of a discussion. I'll record it for YouTube as well, so if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Don't forget to like the video, don't forget to catch up with us on our social channels. ultrabooknews.com is our website. All the social channels are linked up on the top right, and see you in part 3. Thank you for watching.